I had an affair with my art world CEO. My husband exposed $80 million in fraud and destroyed us both. Sebastian made me feel like a masterpiece. Then my husband discovered he was selling fake Caravaggios. My name is Victoria Ashford. I'm 43 years old. I'm standing in the employee break room of Sotheby's, New York. Not as a buyer. Not as a consultant. As a catalog assistant. Minimum wage. No benefits. 5 years ago, I was appraising Monet originals and drinking champagne with Saudi princes. Today, I'm alphabetizing auction lots for the junior staff and eating instant ramen in a room that smells like microwaved fish. This is the story of how I destroyed my marriage for a man who collected art. How I became the centerpiece of his collection. And how my husband, a quiet IP attorney, burned down the entire gallery that employed us both. Let me start from the beginning. My husband's name was Thomas Ashford. 45 years old. An intellectual property lawyer specializing in art authentication and provenance disputes. Thomas was brilliant. Methodical. The kind of man who could spend 8 hours examining a single painting's brushstrokes to determine if it was a Rembrandt or a very good fake. He was also, in my opinion at the time, devastatingly boring. We met 17 years ago at a gallery opening in Soho. I was 26, fresh out of grad school with a master's in art history from NYU. He was 28, a senior associate at Henderson & Cross, a prestigious IP firm. I was standing in front of a de Kooning. Woman 3. All violent pinks and slashing blacks. Raw emotion made visible. "You're looking at it wrong," I'd said to the man beside me, wine-bold and pretentious in the way only a recent graduate can be. "There's a right way to look at abstract expressionism?" he'd asked, amused. I turned. He was handsome in an understated way. Good suit. Kind eyes. Slightly crooked smile. Yes. You have to feel it, not analyze it. De Kooning wasn't trying to represent anything. He was trying to evoke. I'm a lawyer. I analyze everything. Even emotions have precedent. I laughed. That's the saddest thing I've ever heard. Thomas Ashford, he said, extending his hand. Victoria Laurent, I said. I hadn't taken my ex-boyfriend's name yet. I was still my mother's daughter. We talked for 2 hours. About art. About law. About the intersection of creativity and commerce. So you authenticate art? I asked. I authenticate ownership, Thomas corrected. Provenance. Who owned it? When? How it transferred? Whether the seller actually has the right to sell. It's like detective work. That sounds incredibly boring. It's incredibly important, he said. Last month, I saved a collector from buying a stolen Klimt. $2 million. She thought it was legitimate. The paperwork looked perfect. But I traced it back to a 1942 seizure in Vienna. Nazi theft. Oh. Art without provenance is just expensive decoration, Thomas said. The story matters. The history matters. That's what makes it valuable. I fell in love with him that night. Not with passion. Not with fireworks. But with the quiet certainty that he was good. Solid. Safe. We dated for 2 years. He proposed at the Met. In front of the Vermeers. Down on one knee in Gallery 964 while tourists took photos. I know I'm not an artist, Thomas said, holding out a simple platinum ring. I know I'm not exciting. But I will spend every day making sure you never doubt that you're the most beautiful thing I've ever seen. I said yes because I meant it. We got married 3 months later. Simple ceremony. His family thought I was too impractical. My mother thought he was too boring. But we didn't care. We bought a brownstone in Park Slope with a combined down payment. We painted the walls ourselves. We planted flowers in the tiny backyard. We hosted dinner parties where Thomas would bore our guests with authentication stories and I would explain the symbolism in Dutch Golden Age paintings. 2 years later, we had a daughter. Emma. She was perfect. For the first 5 years, I was happy. Genuinely happy. But then something shifted. Maybe it was motherhood. Maybe it was turning 35. Maybe it was watching my friends from graduate school curate shows at the Guggenheim while I appraised suburban estates. I started feeling restless. Invisible. Like I'd traded my potential for stability. Thomas didn't notice. Or maybe he did and didn't know how to fix it. You seem distant, he'd say, finding me staring out the window at 2 a.m. I'm fine. Just thinking about a Rothko appraisal. Want to talk about it? No. Go back to bed. He'd kiss my shoulder and leave me alone with my dissatisfaction. I threw myself into work. Took on more estates. More collections. More travel. That's when Sebastian noticed me. We had a good life. A brownstone in Brooklyn. 2 incomes. A daughter we adored. I worked as a senior appraiser at Bellamy Cross, one of the most prestigious auction houses in New York. 6 figures. Expense account. Access to the kind of art most people only see in textbooks. But I wasn't a partner. I wasn't in the inner circle. I was very good at my job, but I was replaceable. Until Sebastian Bellamy noticed me. Sebastian was 55. Old money. French mother, British father. He'd inherited Bellamy Cross from his grandfather and turned it into a billion-dollar empire. He was tall, silver-haired, impeccably dressed in Savile Row suits that cost more than my monthly salary. He spoke 4 languages. He had homes in Paris, London, and Manhattan. He moved through the art world like a king through his kingdom. And he made me feel like I was the most important painting in his collection. It started professionally. Or so I told myself. Victoria, he said after a major auction, the Rothko we'd just sold for 18 million still hanging behind us. That was masterful. The way you handled the bidders. You have presence. Why are you wasting it in the back office? I'm senior appraiser, Mr. Bellamy. That's not exactly the back office. Call me Sebastian, he smiled. And yes, it is. You should be on the floor. Front and center. I want you leading the European Masters sale next month. I went home and told Thomas. I was glowing. That's great, honey, Thomas said, reviewing a contract on his laptop. Just be careful. Sebastian Bellamy has a reputation. For what? Excellence? For collecting things, Thomas said, looking up. Art. People. Experiences. He's brilliant, but he treats everything like an acquisition. Just keep your guard up. You're being paranoid. I'm being observant. I've worked 3 authentication cases involving his gallery. He's charming until you're no longer useful. Then you're yesterday's exhibition. I rolled my eyes. Thomas saw danger in everything. He couldn't just be happy for me. The European Masters sale was in London. Sebastian flew the entire team over on a private charter. First-class treatment. The Connaught Hotel. Michelin star dinners. Sebastian sat next to me on the flight. He poured me Chateau Margaux from his personal collection. He asked about my thesis on Italian Renaissance patronage. He made me feel brilliant. You're wasted appraising suburban collections, Victoria, he told me somewhere over the Atlantic. You have the eye. The instinct. You should be curating. Setting trends. Not following them. He wasn't offering me a promotion. He was offering me a mirror. And God help me, I loved what I saw. The London sale was a triumph. We sold a Caravaggio for 23 million. A Vermeer for 31 million. I was on stage, commanding the room, wielding the gavel like a scepter. Sebastian watched from the back. When our eyes met, he raised his glass. It felt like a coronation. After the auction, there was a celebration at Claridge's. Champagne. Caviar. The global elite of the art world. I booked you a suite, Sebastian said, handing me a key card. You've earned it. The view of Mayfair is spectacular. Thank you, but I have a room. That was a company room. Standard. This is from me. Personal. You deserve to celebrate properly. I took the key. It felt heavy in my hand. The suite was on the top floor. 3 rooms. Marble bathroom. A bottle of Dom Perignon on ice with a note, to the most captivating woman in any room. S. I called Thomas. It was 2 a.m. in New York. How did it go? He asked, groggy. Amazing. We broke records. Sebastian said I was brilliant. That's great, Vic. I'm proud of you. When are you coming home? Tomorrow night. Sebastian wants to take the team to dinner. Strategic planning for the Asian market. Victoria. It's work, Thomas. This is my career. I know. I miss you. We haven't had dinner together in 3 weeks. I know. I'm sorry. This is just a busy season. It'll slow down after the fall auctions. But it didn't slow down. It accelerated. More trips. Paris. Hong Kong. Dubai. Always Sebastian. Always strategic planning. The dinners got more intimate. The wine got more expensive. The conversations got more personal. In Paris, we were at a private showing of a Degas collection. Just the 2 of us and the seller. The paintings were exquisite, ballerinas in rehearsal, captured in pastel and oil. Tell me about Thomas, Sebastian said, swirling his wine as we stood before the dance class. What about him? Does he see you? Really see you? The way Degas saw these dancers? The grace. The power. The beauty. He's a good man. He's supportive. That's not what I asked, Sebastian said, stepping closer. Does he make you feel alive? Or does he make you feel safe? The question landed like a punch. There's nothing wrong with safe, I said defensively. No. But there's nothing exciting about it either. You're a Ferrari, Victoria. Are you content being driven to the grocery store? He planted the seed. And I watered it with resentment. Every time I went home to Thomas, with his reasonable bedtime and his talk about retirement accounts and his habit of wearing the same blue tie, I felt disappointed. I started noticing everything wrong. The way he chewed. The way he organized his desk. The way he talked about art like it was evidence in a trial instead of passion made visible. Did you read the Picasso attribution report I sent you? Thomas asked one night over dinner. I skimmed it. It's fascinating. The chemical analysis of the underpainting suggests. Thomas, can we not talk about work? You talk about work all the time. The auctions, Sebastian, the sales. That's different. That's exciting. And authentication disputes aren't? No. They're not. They're boring. He looked hurt. But I didn't care. I was already somewhere else. Already thinking about the next trip. The next gallery. The next moment Sebastian would make me feel important. The affair started in Venice. We were there for the Biennale. The art world descended on the city like locusts, collectors, curators, dealers, all circling the fresh work like sharks. Sebastian had rented the Palazzo Contarini del Zaffo. A 16th-century palace on the Grand Canal. Frescoed ceilings. Murano chandeliers. The kind of place where Titian might have painted. I have the entire 3rd floor, Sebastian said as we arrived by private water taxi. Guest suites. You're welcome to stay. Much more convenient than a hotel. I have a room at the Gritty, I said, though I didn't want to. The Gritty was nice. But it wasn't this. Cancel it, Sebastian said, handing my bag to his assistant. Stay here. We'll be working late every night anyway. Strategy sessions. The Asian market won't wait. That was my first conscious choice to cross the line. I texted Thomas that I was staying at Sebastian's palazzo for work convenience. He replied, "Be careful." I didn't ask what he meant. Venice was intoxicating. We spent 3 days wandering through national pavilions. Sebastian knew everyone. Introduced me to everyone. Made me feel important. "This is Victoria Ashford," he'd say. "The finest appraiser in New York. If she says it's real, you can bet your house on it." People remembered my name. Collectors asked for my card. I felt alive in a way I hadn't felt in years. On the second night, we had dinner at Harry's bar. "Tell me about your marriage," Sebastian said, swirling his Prosecco. "Are you happy?" "I'm content." Content, Sebastian repeated, tasting the word like bad wine. That's a terrible word for a marriage. Content is what you feel about a hotel room. Not a partnership. Thomas is a good man. I don't doubt it. But does he make you feel extraordinary? Or does he make you feel comfortable? I didn't answer. "You have a light in you, Victoria," Sebastian continued. "I saw it the first time you presented at auction. Does Thomas see that gift? Or does he just appreciate that you're there?" The question haunted me through dessert. On the third night, Sebastian's assistant had the night off. It was just us at the palazzo. We sat on the terrace overlooking the Grand Canal. The water reflected lights from passing boats. Sebastian poured us both whiskey. Macallan 25. "I have something for you," he said. He handed me a small blue box. Tiffany. Inside was a bracelet. Cartier. Diamonds and sapphires in an Art Deco setting. Easily $30,000. "Sebastian, I can't." "It's not a gift. It's an acknowledgement. You've brought in 40 million in sales this quarter. You deserve recognition." "This is too much." "No. You're worth too much. And you've been undervalued for too long." He put the bracelet on my wrist. His fingers lingered on my skin. "I'm tired of pretending this is just business, Victoria," he said, his voice lower. "I've wanted you since London. Since Paris. Since the first moment you told that collector his Monet was actually a very good Boudin." "Sebastian. Tell me you haven't felt it too. Tell me you don't think about me when you're home in Brooklyn with your lawyer husband who treats you like a comfortable hotel room." I should have left. Should have gone back to the Gritty. Should have called Thomas. Instead, I kissed him. We slept together that night. In a bedroom that had belonged to Venetian nobility. Between silk sheets that cost more than my monthly mortgage. And I told myself it didn't count because we were in another country. In another world. This was fantasy. Reality was Brooklyn. But fantasy became routine. We started planning trips around opportunities to be together. London. Paris. Hong Kong. Miami. Always business. Always legitimate. Always with an excuse. I became an expert liar. Thomas would ask, "Another trip?" "It's a major client. Sebastian specifically requested me." "He requests you a lot." "I'm good at my job, Thomas." "I know you are. I'm proud of you. I miss you. Emma misses you. You've been gone 12 days out of the last 20. I know. I'm sorry. It's temporary. Once we close the Asian expansion, it'll slow down." But it never slowed down. Because I didn't want it to. I stopped pretending to care about parent-teacher conferences. About Emma's soccer games. About Thomas's cases. Did you read the brief I sent you? Thomas asked one night when I was actually home. The Modigliani authentication case. I'm too tired, Thomas. You're never too tired for Sebastian's calls. That's work. So is this. I'm asking your opinion as an expert. Can we not talk about work? You talk about work all the time. The auctions. The sales. Sebastian's vision for the company. That's different. How? It's exciting. Your cases are just paperwork. The hurt in his eyes should have stopped me. Should have made me realize what I was destroying. But I was already gone. Already planning the next trip. The next hotel. The sex was good. But it wasn't the sex that hooked me. It was the validation. The feeling that I was special. Chosen. Important. Sebastian made me feel like art. Thomas made me feel like inventory. I didn't realize Thomas had been paying attention. Documenting. Building a case. Because that's what forensic people do. They watch. They wait. They gather evidence. And then they authenticate the truth. The ultimatum came in his penthouse. We'd just returned from Art Basel. I'm buying a flat in London, Sebastian said casually, buttoning his shirt. Kensington. I want you there when I'm in town. Permanently. That's lovely. And I need you to leave Thomas. I froze. What? Divorce him, Sebastian said matter-of-factly, adjusting his cufflinks. I want you exclusively, Victoria. I don't share my collections. Sebastian, I'm not a painting. I'm a person. I can't just. Yes, you can, he interrupted. You're already gone. You're barely home. He must know. Just make it official. File the papers. I'll provide everything you need. Lawyer. Settlement. Apartment. You'll want for nothing. He walked over and lifted my chin. But I need total commitment. If you want this life, the access, the art, the world we're building, you have to be all in. Half measures bore me. He kissed my forehead. It felt like a brand. Think about it. But don't take too long. The London flat has other interested parties. I went home terrified. I realized I wasn't a partner. I was a piece. And he was moving me around the board. But I'd already made my choice. I was going to leave Thomas. I was going to have the life I deserved. I was planning my exit strategy. Rehearsing my speech. But Thomas had already done his research. I came home on a Thursday. Late. Nearly midnight. I told Thomas the first was at a private viewing of a Basquiat collection in Chelsea. I'd actually been at Sebastian's penthouse. I walked in expecting darkness. Instead, every light in the brownstone was on. Thomas was sitting at the dining room table. Our wedding china was still in the cabinet behind him. Untouched. He wasn't crying. Wasn't yelling. He was surrounded by files. Documents. Photographs. Post-it notes in his precise handwriting. It looked like his office had exploded into our home. Thomas? What is this? It's midnight. What are you doing? He looked up. Adjusted his glasses. The gesture I'd once found endearing now just looked sad. I know, Victoria, he said. His voice was steady. Too steady. Know what? You're scaring me. About Sebastian. About Venice 6 months ago. About Paris in September. About the penthouse in Tribeca you've been visiting every Thursday when you say you're at private viewings. My blood went cold. He slid a photograph across the table. Me and Sebastian on his yacht off the Hamptons. Someone with a telephoto lens had captured us kissing. The timestamp was clear, August 14th. The weekend I'd said I was at an appraisal in Connecticut. But that's just the personal betrayal, Thomas continued, his voice eerily calm. Infidelity is common. It's devastating, but it's not illegal. What I found next, that was far more interesting. He tapped a thick stack of documents. I did what I do best, Victoria. I examined provenance. I traced ownership chains. I authenticated claims. I looked at Bellamy and Cross's sales records going back 3 years. Every piece Sebastian personally handled. Every auction he supervised. Every appraisal you signed off on. What are you talking about? Thomas pulled out a report. Carbon dating analysis. Pigment composition. X-ray fluorescence spectroscopy. The Caravaggio. The Taking of Christ. Sold in London for 23 million. You remember it. You authenticated it. You told the buyer it was a lost masterpiece. You staked your reputation on it. It was authenticated by 3 separate labs. Lab Sebastian controls. Labs that falsified reports. Victoria, I had it independently tested. The canvas has synthetic fibers. Synthetic fibers weren't available until 1935. Caravaggio died in 1610. That's impossible. The Vermeer in Paris. Girl with a wine glass. Sold for 31 million. The pigment analysis shows titanium white. Titanium white wasn't used in oil painting until 1921. Vermeer died in 1675. Thomas pulled out more reports. More lab results. More evidence. The Degas pastels. Modern binders. The Monet water lilies. Wrong canvas weave. The Rothko. Acrylic medium that didn't exist until 1963. He spread them across the table like a crime scene. Sebastian has been selling forgeries for at least 5 years. Mixing them in with legitimate pieces. The real art provides cover. The fakes provide profit margin. It's brilliant, really. Except he got sloppy. He reused the same forger. The same materials. Once I knew what to look for, the pattern was obvious. I couldn't breathe. My entire career. Every major sale. Every prestigious auction. Fake. 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 I didn't know, I whispered. Sebastian handled the authentication process. I just signed the. You signed the certificates, Victoria. Your name. Your credentials. Your reputation. Every fake sold with your stamp of approval. Thomas pulled out another file. This is from the FBI art crime team. I've been consulting with them for 3 months. They've been building a case. They have forensic evidence. Lab reports. Forger testimony. Financial records showing Sebastian paid off lab directors. You went to the FBI? I'm an IP attorney specializing in art fraud, Victoria. Of course I went to the FBI. This is the biggest art fraud case since the Noteler Gallery scandal. $80 million in fake sales. Possibly more. He stood up. Looked taller than I remembered. Looked like a man I didn't know. You're named in the investigation. Not as a perpetrator. As a witness. You were negligent. Incompetent. You prioritized your affair over your due diligence. But the FBI doesn't think you were criminal. Just stupid. The word landed like a slap. However, Thomas continued, several buyers are filing civil suits. Against Sebastian. Against Bellamy and Cross. And against you personally. You authenticated the pieces. You're liable. They're seeking damages. Tens of millions. I don't have tens of millions. No. But you have a brownstone. Retirement accounts. Assets. They'll take everything, Victoria. Everything you worked for. He walked to the kitchen. poured himself a scotch. Not the good stuff Sebastian drank. The normal stuff. I filed for divorce this morning, Thomas said. I'm keeping the brownstone. It was my family's down payment. You can fight me, but you'll lose. My lawyer is very good. And I have evidence of infidelity, abandonment, and professional negligence that endangered our family finances. What about Emma? I'm seeking full custody. You've missed 40% of her life this year. The judge will see that. Thomas, please. I sent my report to the New York Times. They're running it tomorrow. Front page. Arts section. Major auction house sold millions in fakes. Your name is in paragraph 3. You're destroying my career. You destroyed your career the moment you signed fake authentication certificates. I'm just making sure everyone knows the truth. He handed me a business card. This is my divorce attorney. Don't try to contact me except through counsel. Don't come back to this house except to get your things. Where am I supposed to go? I don't care, Victoria. Maybe Sebastian's penthouse. Oh wait, Thomas smiled. It wasn't kind. The FBI is probably raiding it right now. Maybe try a hotel. I hear the gritty palace is nice. Thomas, we can fix this. No, he said quietly. We can't. Because I don't want to fix it. I want you out of my life. Out of Emma's life. You're toxic. You're a liability. You're a forgery disguised as something real. And I'm done authenticating your lies. He pointed to my suitcases by the door. Get out. The fallout was catastrophic. By Friday morning, the Times story was everywhere. Bellamy and Cross sold $80 million in fakes. Appraiser's affair compromised authentication. The photo they used was from a gala. Me and Sebastian. Looking perfect. Looking guilty. The FBI raided Bellamy and Cross at 6 a.m. They seized every painting Sebastian had personally handled. Sebastian was arrested at his penthouse at 7:30 a.m., perp-walked in Zenga pajamas and handcuffs. Every news outlet ran the footage. His lawyer threw me under the bus immediately. Ms. Ashford was the lead authenticator. My client relied on her expertise. If she failed in her duties, that's her negligence, not his intent to defraud. The buyer sued within days. Class action. Against Sebastian. Against Bellamy and Cross. And against me personally. I was fired on Monday. Not even a box to pack. Security escorted me out. My credentials were revoked by the Association of Appraisers. I was blacklisted from every gallery, auction house, and museum in the country. Desperate, I called Sebastian from a Motel 6 in New Jersey. All I could afford. Sebastian, please. I need help. I need a lawyer. The buyers are suing me. I'll lose everything. Don't ever contact me again, he hissed. Background noise suggested he was in a cell or a lawyer's office. You signed those certificates. You put your name on fraudulent art. My lawyer is arguing you were the one who compromised the authentication process because you were too busy fucking me to do your job properly. You said you'd take care of me. You said. I said a lot of things to a lot of women, Victoria. You were useful. You had prestige. Your name sold fakes. Now you're a liability. It's you or me. I choose me. We were going to London together. The flat in Kensington. There is no flat. There never was. Jesus Christ, Victoria. You're a smart woman. Did you really think I was going to leave my wife for you? You were an affair. A convenience. An asset I used until you depreciated. The line went dead. I sat in that motel room and realized the truth. I was never his partner. I was never special. I was a tool he used to legitimize fraud. And I'd been too vain to see it. That was 5 years ago. I live in a studio apartment in Sunnyside, Queens. Rent controlled. $1,400 a month. The previous tenant died here. Of loneliness, I imagine. I can hear my neighbors through the walls. The building smells like curry and defeat. My view is a parking lot and a check cashing place with bars on the windows. I work as a catalog assistant at Sotheby's. Not in authentication. Not in appraisals. In data entry. I make $18.50 an hour. No benefits. No prestige. No future. My supervisor is Jennifer Park. She's 28. Columbia MBA. Her first job out of school pays her $140,000. She doesn't know I used to run European sales. She doesn't know I once authenticated a Matisse for a Saudi prince. She doesn't know anything except that I'm the woman who alphabetizes lot descriptions. Victoria, the Impressionist catalog needs formatting by 3 p.m., Jennifer says, not looking up from her MacBook Pro. And can you grab me a coffee? Oat milk. No sugar. Yes, of course, I say. I go to the break room. The same break room I once walked past on my way to executive meetings. Now I belong here. With the assistants and the interns. I pour her coffee. Oat milk. No sugar. The way she likes it. The way I used to order it 5 years ago when I had an expense account and a future. My hands are different now. I used to get manicures twice a week. French tips. Gel. Now I have a paper cut on my thumb from filing. My nails are short. Practical. Unpainted. Last month, they brought in a Monet for authentication. I wasn't allowed near it. I watched through the glass as a team of specialists, people I used to supervise, examined it. One of them saw me watching. A woman named Patricia. We'd worked together at Bellamy Cross. Our eyes met. She looked away quickly. Pretended not to recognize me. I wasn't just fired. I was erased from art history. The legal battles took 3 years. I lost everything. I tried to fight Thomas for the brownstone, but the judge looked at the evidence and shook his head. Mrs. Ashford, you participated in a scheme that defrauded collectors of millions and abandoned your marriage. The brownstone remains with Mr. Ashford. My retirement accounts were seized to pay partial damages to buyers. I still owe $4.2 million. I'll be paying it off until I die. The FBI investigation concluded I wasn't criminally complicit. Just professionally negligent to the point of gross incompetence. That quote made CNN. Sebastian got 8 years. Federal prison. White collar. Minimum security. He'll probably serve 5 with good behavior. Bellamy Cross was liquidated. The brand was too toxic. 200 employees lost their jobs. All because I was too busy having an affair to do the job I was paid for. The art world has a long memory. Every Google search of my name brings up the scandal. I tried to rebuild under my maiden name, Victoria Laurent. But the art world is small. People figured it out. I went to an exhibition at the Met last year. Vermeer retrospective. I stood in front of girl with a pearl earring and cried. Not because it was beautiful. But because I used to understand beauty. Now all I see is provenance. Authenticity. The possibility of fraud. My daughter Emma is 13 now. She lives with Thomas full-time. I get every other Sunday. Sorry, Mom. I have plans with Dad and Isabelle. Isabelle. Dr. Isabelle Chen. She's been in the picture for 4 years now. They got married last year. Emma was the flower girl. I found out from social media. Last Sunday, the one Emma didn't cancel, we went to a diner in Park Slope. Emma ordered pancakes. Played on her phone. Barely looked at me. How's school? Fine. How's soccer? I quit. I do debate now. Oh. That's great. You'd be good at debate. Isabelle coaches me. She was on the Yale debate team. Of course she was. What's that supposed to mean? Nothing. It sounds like you spend a lot of time with her. She's basically my mom now. She does everything with me. Unlike you. The words hit harder than I expected. Emma, I know I wasn't there when you were younger. I was working. You weren't working, Mom. You were having an affair with your boss. Everyone at my school saw the articles. Do you know what that's like? Having your mom be famous for art fraud? I'm sorry. I don't care anymore. Isabelle helped me understand that you made choices. And choices have consequences. Your consequence is that I don't want to be around you. She put $40 on the table. Money Thomas had given her for lunch. I'm going home. To my real home. With my real family. She left. I sat there for 20 minutes. Staring at her untouched pancakes. I walked home to Sunnyside. Took the 7 train. Stood between a man who smelled like cigarettes and a woman screaming at her boyfriend on FaceTime. This was my life now. Last week, I saw Thomas. I'd gone to Emma's school for a debate tournament. I sat in the back. Watched Emma destroy her opponent with precision arguments. She was brilliant. Sharp. Confident. She got it from Thomas. After her round, I tried to approach her. Thomas stepped in front of me. Victoria. This is a surprise. I wanted to see her compete. I'm still her mother. Legally, yes. Functionally, no. Thomas, please. Can we talk? She doesn't want to see you. You need to respect her boundaries. I made mistakes. I know that. But I paid for them. Can't you just? Paid for them? Thomas looked at me like I was a fake he'd just authenticated. You think 5 years of consequences equals 10 years of marriage? 15 years of building a life? I'm trying to rebuild. I'm trying to be better. That's great, Victoria. Truly. But rebuilding doesn't mean we have to be part of the construction. You made choices. Choices have consequences. I've moved on. Emma's moved on. You need to move on too. He walked away. Put his arm around Isabelle. She handed him a coffee. They laughed at something Emma said. A family unit I'd destroyed. I went home. Opened my laptop. Started looking at the storage unit where I'd put all the things from the brownstone. Designer clothes. Expensive shoes. The Cartier bracelet Sebastian gave me in Venice. All of it worthless now. Just expensive reminders of my stupidity. I could sell it. Pay down some of the debt. But I keep it. As punishment. As penance. This studio apartment. This minimum wage job. This invisible life. This is what validation cost me. I wanted to be special. I wanted to be the most valuable piece in someone's collection. I wanted to be art. Sebastian gave me that. For 6 months, I was his masterpiece. But I forgot that art has to be authenticated. It has to have provenance. It has to be real. And I was a forgery. Beautiful on the surface. Worthless underneath. Thomas knew. He authenticated me. Found me fake. Removed me from the collection. And now I'm here. In the clearance section. Marked down. Damaged goods. I traded a brownstone for a studio. A marriage for an affair. A daughter for a man who collected people like paintings. And when the authentication came back negative, I was disposed of. Sebastian's in federal prison. Minimum security. Playing tennis. Reading books. He'll be out in 3 years. I'm in my own prison. No bars. No guards. Just the knowledge that I destroyed my life for a man who never loved me. Who saw me as inventory? Thomas rebuilt. Found Isabelle. Found love again. Real love. The kind built on trust and presence and showing up. The kind of love I called boring. And I'm here. Alphabetizing auction lots. Living in Queens. Eating ramen. Watching my daughter call another woman mom. I wanted to be collected. I wanted to be valuable. I wanted to be art. Instead, I became a cautionary tale. A fake. A forgery. And the worst part? I authenticated my own fraud. I signed the certificate. I put my name on the lie. And now I'm paying for it. One minimum wage paycheck at a time. One lonely Sunday at a time. One memory at a time of the life I destroyed. Some people say you can't put a price on integrity. I can. It's $18.50 an hour. Plus the daughter who won't see me. Plus the career that's never coming back. That's what validation costs. And I'm still paying. Every day. Every hour. Every moment I look in the mirror and see a forgery looking back. Sebastian gave me 6 months of feeling like a masterpiece. Thomas gave me 10 years of being real. And I chose the fake. # the auction.